Sawadee ka, Jan, and hello to everyone here and at home. Vincent has a few topics, so we're going to let him begin today. And I know one topic was about karma and Margachita and Aditana and Chaitana and why not Chaitana as a path factor and Atasanya. So you start where you like, Vincent.
Thank you, Sarah. What Sarah just mentioned was a big topic a while ago. We didn't really have an agreement at that time, or not all of the discussion are agreed. But to be honest, I don't think about that topic anymore. But the topic, if anyone has interest, is about, at the beginning, the question was about why Jetana Sama is not a past factor, right? Because the past is not about the Jetana. Jetana is Gamma, right? Gamma is Jetana, but it is not a past factor. It is not Sama Jetana, right? And so I was thinking, why is that? I was trying to think, and then maybe, okay, when we talk about Jetana, two major functions. One is to coordinate. One it is the Gamma that bring the result in the future. But because also when we talk about Jetana, it's the leading Jetasika of the Sankara Kanda. So when we talk about Moha, Pachaya, Vijnana, and then it's about the Abhi Sankara, right? It's about the Abhi Sankara that's conditioned the rebirth, the Gamma that's conditioned the rebirth. So I was wondering at that time, because one is the Gamma is also means action, and the past is not about doing something. It's not about taking action. So maybe that helped me to appreciate Jetana is not why the Gamma is not a past factor, because it's not about action. It's about understanding. And the other factor I was thinking is Abhisankara. That's why we are in samsara. But the Magga, the past is about all of Sankara. So the Abhisankara could not be part of the past. No way, because it's bound the being to be in a three world. So that was my thinking. So at that time, and I didn't really think about it now. I was just thinking about why Gamma, why Jetana, in terms of the function of bring result in the future, not just coordinating, not coordinating for any kind of chitta. So am I making it clear? I don't know. So again, the question was about why Jetana at the beginning, why Gamma is not the past factor, given it's so powerful, given it's bound all the beings in the samsara.
Yeah, it's Chetana means to do. Chetana means to actions means doing. So it's exactly what it's exactly the opposite of the right path. It is the intention of there's the intention of about the object of can be Chetana when meditating, like because of ignorance, there is intention about the object, because ignorance still thinks that the object is there, so he thinks that he can concentrate on the object, and then there is because there is ignorance, there is intention to concentrate, intention to meditate. intention to do something. Without intention, can you do anything? Can you do what can one do without intention? It's needed. It's the will. Not the will. It's the like the reality which impels us to do this or that or whatever we do in a day, during the day, and it's conditioned by ignorance.
Right. But I think it's there even at the moment of Magga Chitta, but it is not a past factor. It's because normally when any Kusala Chitta, except Lokuttara Chitta, any Kusala Chitta, it brings result. The Cetana, if it's strong enough, Kusala Chitta. But Magga Chitta is the highest Kusala Chitta, but the Cetana is not there to bring. It's not considered a past factor because I think it's not about Abhisankara.
That's right.
It's not just kusala also, but the point is, however great the kusala cetana, the path is not the intending, but the understanding now. There may be the intending to have understanding, but that is not the way. The way is the understanding of what appears. And even though it is cetana, that is karma, that when it's high degree of kusala, it brings results. Still, it's not the cetana that is the path factor, the understanding, the awareness, even though it's there at those moments, even though, like you say, even at the moment of enlightenment, cetana and many, many other cetasikas are there, but they are not all path factors. So we have to consider why. And the path is not about the intention, but the understanding. Actually, there's cetana at each moment. Kusala, vipaka, kiriya, at every moment in life. But even when it's great kusala, it's there as a cetasika, supporting the other cetasikas and the citta, coordinating and intending to do at those moments of kusala, but never a path factor, because the path is never about the intending, but the understanding, the awareness, and so on.
Right. And the other perspective I was telling myself is because when Cetana is Gamma, and it's Gamma also bound the beings in samsara. So at the moment of Magga Chitta, the Cetana is not there to bound the beings. So that's the other way I'm
but
thinking.
At the moment of Magga Chitta, the cetana still, the karma still brings its result immediately by way of the pala citta. And only in the case of the arahat, when the Magga Chitta eradicates all defilements, after the Magga Chitta, only kiriya citta, so no more results.
Right. This one I'm also
karma.
This one I'm also a bit curious, but not important, because this pala citta is also javana citta. That is so different from the
pala
other.
citta is vipaka citta. It's not javana citta.
It's in javana process.
But it's vipaka citta, not. It's not kusala or akusala. It's vipaka citta, even though it arises immediately afterwards.
Right, in the javana process.
In the same process.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, but anyway, that's
in the same process, but it's vipaka citta, not the kusala citta which has the function of javana.
Right.
A subtle distinction.
Vincent, just a quick question. What do the path factors have in common?
What does all these past factors
Yeah, the 8 path factors.
What do they have in common?
Mhm. What makes them a path factor?
Well, if I could only answer because they are relatively critical for the
Well,
market.
yeah, well, that's the assumption, and I don't know the answer to my question either. But I'm just pointing out that we are here in the realm of speculation, because the Buddha didn't say why he selected those 8 factors in particular to be path factors among all the Jetasikas that are arising at moment of path consciousness. If we knew the answer, what they have in common, why they are path factors, then all would be clear. But I'm not sure that trying to perform the exercise of analyzing why this and not that is a path factor is going to be very fruitful, because we just don't know. In his wisdom, those 8 were chosen, maybe because, as you say, they're critical, or maybe because they are the ones that he wanted to emphasize for some reason. I don't know.
Right, I appreciate, yes. But sometimes we can appreciate why some Cetasika is not path factor. Like compassion, karuna, because the object is not the Dhamma. So it cannot be the path factor. Makes sense, it's not a path.
I'm talking about among the mental factors that would be arising at path, necessarily arising at moment of path consciousness.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, yeah.
Ready to add more then?
Is there Chetana now? Is there Chetana to realize the truth now? Now there is Chetana. Is it Chetana which just want to realize the truth, the vulnerable truth?
Yes.
Okay, right or wrong, kusala or akusala? Just one, not.
Generally akusala.
So the moment thinking that Chetana can be the path is right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong or right?
Chetana, therefore,
Now the Chetana which would like to experience the truth right now,
that's wrong.
is it?
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Right.
That's why Chetana can never be the path at all. Is it clear? No matter how much one Chetana to realize the truth, it's impossible. That's why Chetana cannot be the path at all.
Right.
And what is the first condition, factor of the path?
Right view.
Right understanding only. So now, is there any idea about the truth of what is there? Or is it the moment of directly understand, that very moment, only one at a time? Or none at all? That's why some people have wrong understanding, because they don't carefully consider the subtlety of each word. It has to be each word. For now, is there Chetana?
Yes.
Who knows?
Only appear to Panya to know, right?
And does it appear now?
No.
So how can it appear? Can it appear?
It could. Yeah.
Yes. That's why what Buddha taught about each reality, just to understand when it's there. Because now even they are there, many realities, they are not known at all. At all. No matter what is there. But from his teachings, he just thought about the truth of every reality beyond expectation that is from out of his understanding, enlightenment about each reality, no matter what degree. So now what appears, did he teach about it? What appears now?
Well, yeah, shape and form.
In a moment.
In a moment,
right?
okay.
What did he say about it? That which is now appearing. See, to understand when it's there. That's why he taught about everything, to understand the moment when it's there as it is. Even Cetana. In a day, there is so many moments of intention to do this and that. No one knows that it's Cetana. We just learn about it. But the moment when it's there, or even now, it's not known, because all are anatta, conditioned realities. No idea at all what would be the next moment, what reality is there. But we learn to understand whatever is there in life, to begin to understand about ignorance. It's just not only ignorance, but ignorant what right now. No understanding of that which appears and that which experiencing. So learn little by little. And at moment of understanding, it's the letting go. Samadhi, understand the truth. So it let go, wrong understanding and ignorance and attachment, little by little, stage by stage. So without more understanding, or clearer understanding of what is there now, it's impossible to think about whether Cetana is such and so on. But when time comes, right now, there is Cetana. But it does not appear. Even that which appears is not known. So how can there be the understanding of that which does not appear at all? But we learn about it in order to let go in daily life. Whatever is there, always taken for I, like intention is I. Attachment is I. Thinking is I. That's why we learn to understand what is there now. Until it's the moment of beginning to attend to the characteristic of the truth of a reality, which we have learned. For example, like Citta, we talk about again and again and again. It's there any moment, even right now. It's not known. That's why the more we talk about it, it conditions the moment of begin to attend little by little to that which is not the object which is seen, or the sound which is heard. It's there, but it does not appear to ignorance, because who think that no matter where and when, Citta is there, the chief of experiencing what is there, even right now. And how can it be gradually understood that it's a reality which is not that which appears as visible object, sound, or anything at all. And this is the point of pariyatti, to learn to understand the truth of what is there now, little by little. So when it's time to be conditioned to understand directly of this moment, but it's not now, until the moment of understanding what is there, no matter what we have learned. But it's so very subtle. Thinking about Cetana a lot, it's there now. Kusala or akusala is not known, because it just arises and falls away instantly. That's why I begin to understand the enormous ignorance attachment. And now the word of panyati, the word of nimitta, how deeply rooted of ignorance, not understand anything at all. That's why listen again and again and again to understand just what is there now. Citta, and Chetana, depending on whether it appears or not. But now Chitta arises each moment. And even there is Chetana, we learn a lot about different degrees of Chetana. But now, does it appear to be known what degree? Just learn to understand what is there in order that there can be condition directly understanding what is there now as it is, one by one, stage by stage. And that is the point of listening to the very subtle of whatever is there. Even right now, we talk about Citta, we talk about Chetana, we talk about that which appears, to have a little more understanding, a little more of letting go. No one there now, see, until then.
And I think it's very common to have the idea that there has to be an intention to understand, an intention to follow the path. But the idea of I is there, that intends to study, intends to understand. And in this connection of this discussion, you mention adhitthana and how the Bodhisattva had to have the resolve and the Buddha had to have the resolve to become enlightened, as if that supports the idea of intention. But I think that, as we've discussed a lot, adhitthana is more about the confidence in the truth through the development of understanding. Through the development of understanding, there is the appreciation that this is the way that understanding develops. It's not I making a resolve to study, or you gave an example about like Ajahn going to India. It's not making a resolve to go there to have understanding or to teach, because that's just a conventional situation. But at this moment, it's not the resolve or the intention that is of value. It's just the understanding itself. So as soon as it's I making a resolve, then it's the wrong, not the right way. And that's not adhitthana parami, the confidence that, or even the, if we want to use determination, that develops with understanding, but not making a resolve to do something.
Right. The parami has to be, there has to be right understanding there for the parami to develop. And it's conditioned by also the growing confidence. So the translation of determination of adhitthana, then we can say that's conditioned by panya and saddha, right? Right. It doesn't.
Not the idea that there has to be a determination to have understanding, because that's just like there has to be the intention to have understanding. It's the same, but the path is not about resolves and plans and intentions. It's about this moment, understanding now.
Similar to what John mentioned about practice. The other, it's not like we have determination first to develop understanding. Rather, it's the understanding to a certain level, and then we call that the determination.
Or don't call it the determination, because what is the determination at those moments?
Well, I'm just saying that's translation. That's the word
Yes.
translated.
Yes.
On the text.
I think the appreciation of the value of understanding, and that is why it is like the confidence or the
Right.
knowledge that nothing else is important in life, and this is the only way,
right.
As we discussed yesterday, the path, not having all sorts of good resolves and good intentions, but just understanding.
Yeah, I think the characteristic is unshakable. It's unshakable, so it must come from confidence.
Yes.
And panya.
So the more understanding, the more unshakable there is.
Right.
The appreciation of the value of what's important. Otherwise, it's always going to be I having resolves to do this or to follow the path, but the path doesn't occur from having resolves, like the simile of the chicken sitting on the eggs. The eggs don't hatch because the chicken intends for them to hatch. The chickens hatch because the chicken sits on them.
Right.
So it's because of understanding, not because of having lots of
Right.
good intentions.
Right.
It's a little bit like when we talk about metta. Metta doesn't develop because there is an intention to have metta. Metta develops because there's understanding of the quality when it's there, not just because I would like to have metta. It's similar, otherwise it's all for oneself.
Right.
Just a quick word, if I may. Vince, just listening to some of your points there, and I think they're good ones, thanks for bringing them up. It'll never, and I think this is so easy, and I think it's an important point, that it's not the word. We can so easily, whether it's adhitthana or ekaggata or any of these Chaitasikas that we may bring up at times, Chaitanya, as you alluded to, it's not, we all have different understandings of these words, but it'll always, if we look at the common denominator in many ways, as I see the path, it's about right understanding, sammaditthi. Now, the more, and we have to continually consider that from the correct perspective, and that's not easy. It's continually listening and considering what the implications of that word, what sammaditthi represents. And it's so easy, I think, to jump to conclusions or to have somewhat naive view, and I'm not saying you do in this particular case, of these words and what they represent. So we have to, as Thanajan often alludes to, consider carefully, again and again and again, what the Dhammas that appear, how they should be understood, or how they can be understood. We often look around about trying to understand these words from a certain perspective, and usually it's done from an unhelpful perspective. So the Dhamma, as we know, is not easy to understand, but it's about continually considering carefully. And going back to perhaps a point that Jonathan brought up, what is the common denominator of these path factors? Well, yes, that is a difficult question, and a difficult question to answer, and why the Samma Sambuddha put them in that particular way. But if we consider that right view has to be understood from its correct perspective, and that takes time. It's not done from a thinking perspective. We can't think this one out about what is Chaitanya and its role, if any, in the development of the path, because we know that will obviously, as Thanajan has alluded to, be pointing to the wrong way, which is I intending to do something to get something. So it's a lot, we can appreciate that it's a lot more subtle than that. So I don't think, for me, as I consider this matter, it's about considering carefully the Dhamma always, and not having this idea that, what is this particular word and what does this particular word mean in this context? Because words by themselves are almost meaningless. It is what those terms point to and represent, and that is often misunderstood. So we always have to consider carefully, in view of the reality that appears. That is the pointer, if anything, rather than trying to understand these words, out of context, which I think we do. It's understandable. We try to understand, well, what is the Buddha pointing to here? And I think it's so easy to be misled in this area.
Okay, thank you, Sundra. And good to see you join us today.
And I think your other topic was about Atasanya. I think it's quite common idea, helpful for everyone. Many people have the idea that when we take this for someone, that this is Atasanya or Ataditi with Atasanya, but now, it arises so very quickly. As soon as seeing, hearing, smelling have fallen away and a few more cheetahs, then it's something there. And as soon as it's the idea of something, it's Atasanya is there with the ditthi, taking it for something. It makes no difference if we're looking at the computer screen or at the table or anywhere around. It comes in instantly, no matter looking at my arm here or on the computer screen. It's still the idea of my arm, something there.
Okay.
Atasanya.
Right, because we were talking about Ajahn on the monitor. So immediately there's Ajahn, that's the idea of us, Ajahn there. So the Sanya is so strongly rooted, like Atasanya. So I was actually thinking about Ananda Sanya. So at the moment of right understanding, then Ananda Sanya accumulates, right? And then when we say, okay, when Chitta think about shape and form now or anytime, it could be with right view or with wrong view or none of them. Just think about the shape and form. And when Anatasanya accumulate to a certain level, when Chitta think about the shape and form, the Anatasanya could be there, right? But at that time, the Panya should be there too. The Panya are also there. Okay, then my question is, because normally when we say right understanding, the object is, if it's direct understanding, that's the Dhamma, okay? But when thinking about shape and form, and the object is not the Buddha's word, it's not even rice reflecting, but it could be thinking about shape and form with another sanya. And what kind of panya at that time?
Just modify that question a little bit, Vincent. The Sotapanna has eradicated Atta Sanya, is that correct?
Yes.
But the Sotapanna also loves his wife, his children, and so on. And presumably, obviously, there's a lot of attachment there, and they're recognizing the children, they're recognizing the wife, and so on. What is the difference there? Maybe that can be a good one to look at.
So the point again is it's not the conventional situation, like the Sotapanna still looks at the computer screen, knows who knows who everyone is around the table. But what about the Chitta? What about the Chitta when it's someone, the idea of someone? It's not visible object that's seen. It's not sound that's heard. It's something that's heard. It's someone that's seen. So it comes back to understanding. Only understanding can understand the difference. And yes, so maybe thinking about the people of ignorance or attachment or understanding can pop in anytime. But when it's the idea that it's shape and form and someone who is seen, then it's not the understanding of reality.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Robert. That's perception of shape and form. But I'm not even talking about the Sotapanna or even Ditti Visuddhi. Even before Vipassana Yana, I think there are moments of perception that shape and form appear, but not being. They are not real. I think even before Titi Visuddhi, that could happen.
Even Satipatthana at the beginning moment is understanding to some degree that there's it's anatta. There's an element of a understanding anatta during moments of Satipatthana before Vipassana.
Right. Satipatthana is for sure the anatta sanya is there, and then the right understanding is there. No, the anatta sanya is not there yet.
I think that it's level of understanding the word about it, not the moment when it's there as sanya. To condition the understanding of sanya as no one. Now we have the idea, just the idea. And while we're talking, sanya is there right or wrong when it does not appear as it is. We just talk about it. That's why each word of the teachings of the Buddha should be very carefully, wisely considered until it is so firm and confident of the truth, Satyayana or Satya Parami. Because now, if there is no understanding of sanya directly, how can it know sanya as sanya? Just a reality. It's still the idea about it. That's why 3 levels of understanding the teachings, the prayati, can it let go? Sanya vipanasa or atasanya, even right now, just the understanding of the words about it. But it's there, right or wrong. When there's no satipatthana or directly understanding it, does it appear as not self, anatta sanya? But now it does not appear as anatta. So it's only the remembrance of the meaning of that. We are in the world of thinking, and without directly understanding any reality, it cannot be a moment of beginning to understand the truth. But there can be a little more understanding, but I is there. That's why it cannot eradicate the self or the ego or whatever is there until there is a little more understanding, letting go with firm understanding that the intellect understanding is not directly moment of understanding the truth of each one. Otherwise, there will never be the satipatthana or direct understanding of what we are talking about. That's why even sanya, it seems like it's so easy to follow the book or the word. But what about it if we don't talk about it? How many types or how many kinds of sanya by way of citta viparasa or sanya viparasa or ditthi viparasa? See, that's why just learn to be truthful to the truth. That it's the beginning of understanding the word of the teaching. And it depends how much careful considering to understand the subtlety of each different level, even about just one reality. For example, it's about sanya. It seems like no doubt about the words, but is there any moment sanya is there as the object to begin to let go ignorance, but so very gradually. That's why it has to be from pariyati to patipati, satyayana, and kichayana. Not in a day or 2 days because of the accumulation of ignorance and attachment and wrong understanding, eons and eons. That's why learn to understand the truth. We are talking about what is there, but it's not the moment when it appears to right understanding. When there's no understanding, how can it appear to right understanding? It's impossible. That's why the understanding of the intellect understanding has to be so firm and understand that with our parami, satya parami so firm, there can be different idea about the truth, like cetana to attain the stage of vipassana jhana and so on. It cannot be as one think about it. It has to be understood carefully how to understand the khanda, see, and how many khandas there now understood or begin to be object of understanding. So even the idea of it's not I, the I is there, having such idea. And that's why it is the beginning, the first level of understanding, the subtlety of all kinds of Dhamma. Because even it now appears, no one understands the truth of it without carefully study what is there.
Right. Okay. And I also, sanya does not appear, but even if it does not appear, but it's there. So it's like a review, even though anatta sanya is there, but not the object of the chitta.
What do you mean by another sanya?
That's together with the understanding.
What is there now?
Cup.
Atta sanya or anatta sanya?
Usually atta sanya.
Atta sanya.
Yeah, something there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something there. But there could be moment of anatta sanya.
At what level of understanding?
Because
now we know that sanya is what and what, but when disappears, what is that?
But somehow there are moments the shape and form appear, but it's different than before.
Not understanding enough right now how to
Not
let
enough.
go of every concept of what is there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not by intention or by intellectual understanding. The moment of waking up and now on and on, atta sanya, right?
Right.
And even the moment of thinking about the anatta sanya is only the idea, right?
Or
Not the direct understanding of what we have learned.
No, not direct understanding sanya.
That's why we have to understand, to have confidence of the first intellectual understanding level of Ariya Satya, the Four Noble Truths.
Mm-hmm.
The path is so very subtle because it is the moment of understanding, letting go, but not directly experience what we have thought about yet. For example, we think that there's no cup, but when it appears, it's a cup. So how can it let go the moment of it's not a cup? Not just my thought. Okay, no cup, but now it's a cup. So the truth is that can there be a moment of no cup?
Well,
otherwise,
yeah.
it's useless
Right.
to consider the truth and develop right understanding, to let go the idea that we just think about. How long we have heard that there is no cup, no body at all, but any moment is there. So is it true? Can it be a moment of realization, what is said and understood? That's why you have to consider, for example, when we talk about Cetana, see, even it's there now, it's not known. That's why we learn about it. What is Cetana? It's not Chitta. And it arises with each Chitta. But each Chitta is different by conditions. So Cetana is conditioned to be different too by conditions arising together with Chitta. So even now, no matter it is vipaka or kiriya or kusala and akusala, it's there. But it does not appear because it's only the intellectual understanding. Is at that moment anatta sanya or atta sanya? I listen, I understand, little by little.
And Vincent,
Yes.
can I have a word? Or is someone else speaking?
Sure.
I just wanted to raise something about shape and form, because you've mentioned a couple of times about shape and form appearing, or shape and form being perceived as different than it normally is. To my understanding, shape and form is not part of the characteristic of dhammas that are the object of understanding. Shape and form is something that is thought about. There's thinking about shape and form all the time, and that's why the world appears as objects of people and things. So it's not an aspect of the development of understanding as such. What is mentioned in the suttas is attachment to shape and form. That's all. Attachment. But it's not as though the development of understanding involves not thinking about shape and form at all. Because as Robert said, the Sotapanna, who no longer has any wrong idea of the existence of a self, still thinks of people and things and my children and that sort of thing. So in the discussion on the development of understanding of the true nature of realities, shape and form is not one of the aspects that comes to be known as such.
Right. Thank you, John. And that's why I was wondering, when Chitta think about shape and form, to the very wise, the sanya could be anatta sanya already for people at the Vipassanayana level. That's already Ditti Visuddhi. But when that kind of level, thinking about shape and form, that sanya, for those people already anatta sanya, even though shape and form appear, but it's just different than before, right?
Earlier you said that the shape and form is different from before, but what does that mean? Because it's still the pattern, the design, the image, it's just like the same, no matter whether for
the same shape, the
same
shape,
impressions,
right.
someone, the shape, the color,
right?
Just the same. So just like it's always been.
Shape and form just like it's always been.
So the shape and form doesn't change. It's the understanding that develops, that it's just the object of thinking, that's all.
But the shape and form still appear. But at those moments,
and what do you mean by it appears? The shape and form appears?
Like now, shape and form appears. But it's different than before. It's not really.
No, I don't think we can say it appears, Vincent. There's just thinking about shape and form. It doesn't. Shape and form doesn't. The shape and form doesn't appear or not appear. There is thinking about shape and form all the time, naturally. So that's it.
Say it's different from before because now there's some understanding that the shape and form is different, or no matter we're talking about Vipassana Jnana or this enlightenment or any of the other things, after seeing what is visible, instantly there's impression of shape and form, different colors, different images, before there's the idea of table or hung.
Right.
So you can say that the thinking is different, not the shape and form is different, but it's all speculation, right? About what the wiser experience.
Yes, the jitta that thinks is different because it's either kusala or akusala.
Right.
So that's the difference. But still, the images seen, for example, are the same.
Right. But
it's with or without wrong view or ignorance.
There is a sense that the people and view, the shape and form that's thought about are not real.
But say, talking about the level of Sotapanna, the Sotapanna is still seen exactly as before, seeing everything. The thinking may be similar too. It's not that every moment the Sotapanna thinks about his children, for example, that there's right understanding right there. There may be just pure attachment. So it's not, or ignorance.
Right,
and both.
but the Ditti Vipallasa is not there anymore.
But the thinking that thinks that the children are really existing, that there's, or that I am having children in the wrong way, the misunderstanding, that is what is missing. That is what has been eliminated.
When Ditti Vipallasa is not there, even though the same shape and form is perceived differently. No, the same shape and form, but no Vipallasa there must make a difference.
Yeah, but I don't think that in the development of understanding, that moments with understanding, the shape and form appears differently to moments without understanding. It's just that at moments of understanding, there is the knowing of the true nature of a particular reality. But shape and form, the way shape and form is the actual appearance of shape and form doesn't change according to whether there's awareness and understanding or not.
Yes. Right. It's the thinking that is different. But
depending on the moment, just like now, sometimes thinking about the shape and form of what's been seen of ignorance, sometimes with attachment, sometimes with wise reflection for an instant, sometimes with wrong understanding. So no point in speculating about what it would be like if there was more understanding, because actually, what about now?
right, it's not always speculating. Well, for Sotapanna, every single moment, no Vipallasa, no Ditti Vipallasa. Even before that,
Ditti Vipallasa, but
right,
still other Vipallasa,
right,
still Sanya Vipallasa,
but that
and
no,
Citta Vipallasa without Ditti.
right, but that no Ditti Vipallasa make a huge difference. The way to look at the world, every moment is not distorted in terms of there are
What is the difference you're referring to?
in terms of not the shape and form are different. The shape and form are still the same.
Right.
When
That's the important thing. So no change in shape and form because of whether there's understanding or not, or Ditti Vipallasa or not. It's the underlying perception that changes, not the superficial.
That exactly, it changed. No Ditti Vipallasa totally changed the perception of beings.
We're talking about a gradual development of understanding.
Right.
Gradually understanding develops, works its way, first intellectually understanding that actually what's seen is just what is visible now. And gradually there's more and more confidence with the understanding as it develops until it is the direct understanding of the characteristic that appears now, and then on and on and on. So it's not like it's such a total change. It's just the gradual development of understanding, the gradual wearing away of wrong view until the tiniest tendency is completely eradicated for good.
Yes.
So it has to begin now.
Right. It's a long process. Yeah. It's a gradual process.
So it has to begin with understanding the reality now. Like when thinking about the shape and form, what is the reality now? When thinking about what life for the Sotapanna must be like, what about the thinking now? So it always comes back to what appears now, the citta now, the seeing now.
I think we tend to want to focus on, say, in the development of understanding, we want to focus on the stages at which defilements are eradicated and what that means. But actually, that's not the emphasis of the Buddha's teaching so much. It's because the development or progression of development of understanding is more about seeing more clearly the way things are in truth and reality. The Buddha didn't really say that, you know, when this defilement is eradicated, then such and such happens, or the world is perceived differently, or whatever. It's really that, like in the Visuddhimagga, the stages of purification that are the important aspect of the development of understanding, not the eradication of defilements, although that of course happens, but it's a consequence of the development of understanding. It's not the principal thing that is being achieved. It's the increase, the purification of view and the development of understanding in stages, stage by stage, that are the true markers of the development of the path.
It is now the understanding at this moment. Go ahead. Robert has a question for Jan.
Even for Sotapannas in the suttas, we see a lot of difference in the sense of Moggallana went to visit Saka, king of the gods, once, and because he thought, although Saka was already a Sotapanna by then, he thought Saka was a bit negligent about the Dhamma, and he used his big toe and shook the palace to give Saka a bit of a shock. And it seems to me that some Sotapanna might not consider the Dhamma, or consider the six sense doors, or consider seeing even after they've become a Sotapanna. So often they may be just a lot of attachment arising often, rather than particular insights after that stage even. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but.
And who's a Sotapanna? Not anyone, but the quality. Who's Sotapanna? No doubt.
Well, obviously, a Sotapanna must have gone through all the stages that John mentioned, listed in the Visuddhimagga, and what you've been saying about understanding Nama and understanding Rupa and so on. So
the four Arya Satyas.
The four Arya Satya, they've been through that, and yet some Sotapanna seem negligent in the sense that there may be a lot of attachment arising in their life.
Because the clear understanding of whatever arises is conditioned. So Sotapanna realize what is eradicated, not attachment to the sensuous object, only doubt and wrong way to realize the truth, and no more ignorance and attachment to whatever as something. But it's so lovely, and condition for attachment is there. So there are many different lives for Sotapanna, even in the old days.
Bring out, just in relation to what you were saying, Vincent, that even the Sotapanna may be having lots and lots of attachment very, very, very often. So it's not so different in a sense from our life with much attachment, except that in our life before Sotapanna, there's also this Atta Sanya that you've been mentioning coming in.
Someone realized the truth like now to the level of Sotapanna. Is there any change? The same, sitting, talking, so on.
Yes, the behavior is the same, not a dramatic change of behavior, but the way look at the world, the perception will be hugely different. And I agree, sure, that because the 8 different type of Lobamula Chitta or Sotapanna, there's still 4 different types left, right?
Even becoming realized the truth at level of Arahata, no difference.
That outside appearance behavior, no different, right? But no more viparasa, that's huge difference.
So all depends on understanding. to be truthful to the understanding right now, how much understanding of what we have heard or learned, the different degrees of pariyati and patipatti. That's why we just talk about not just the first and the second and the third of Ariya Satya, but also about the path which is very subtle. To have confidence at any moment of understanding, it develops gradually. Unknowingly too. Who knows? Today, a little more understanding than yesterday. Really? But without a little more, can it move slowly, gradually to understand what is there now? No one, nothing. And that's the point, it's the truth. Even nothing appears outward, but right understanding can understand deeper to the depth, to the subtlety of what is there as different ones, and no shape, no form, no one there, the reality which experiences, and that which is the object of the experiencing at that moment. And what is there so clear when it appears just one at a time? No doubt, when it appears as that. Thinking about it's not just no shape, no form, also no one here at all. Is that true? Anatta, no atta. That's why each word should be considered very carefully. And that is the moment of letting go, wrong understanding. And it's firmer and firmer. Have confidence that it's not now. That's why the understanding begin to understand what is there, not just only thinking about it, but no one can stop thinking. But right understanding can understand different reality, like thinking is not seeing now. When it appears, that is different, another stage of understanding. But when it does not appear, it appears as atta, not anatta. So as long as it is now something or someone, it has to be atta. Even he heard a lot about anatta, but now atta of everything.
And what is the antidote to that? Developing more understanding, more listening, more considering.
Right understanding is so very true to the truth. It's still someone. So it's not yet the level of experiencing it at the stage of Katyayana, because not any moment of direct understanding is there yet, even right now, to be true to the truth. Satya Barami is so very important. And it conditions virya, see, not enough yet, as long as it is just only the idea of the truth, but no direct experience of anyone now. Understanding the difference, so very highly different, because from moment of no attention, no direct awareness yet, to that very moment, no one can condition, even no Cetana at all, because Cetana cannot work such a way, because it's just a reality which arises with its citta, depending on different characteristics or character level of citta. That's why it's different. Cetana with the seeing, hearing is different from when it is kusala or akusala, and kusala without panya or kusala with panya, of what level. Cetana just coordinate the reality arising together to perform its function. That's all. So when akusala, root, or lopa attachment is there, cetana is there, coordinate the other cetasikas to follow the way lopa is attached to or wanting to at that very moment. That's why we have to understand each different characteristic of each reality, no matter it at what degree, it has to perform its function only. Cetana cannot perform the function of right understanding or manasikara. That's why we learn to let go, no understanding of anything at all, to learn what are there together or at different moment. Even the shape and form that we have talked about just a moment ago, when will it be there? Not at the first process of seeing. Only one seeing cannot be shape and form at all. That is the way to let go shape and form, little by little, truthfully, whether there is some level of understanding or just gradually developing each moment. And Panya is so truthful, true to the truth, to our reality right there as it is. That's why we might think there is some idea or the development of anatthaness, but the proof is this moment. Is there any thought about anatta? No thing, no cup. And even that is only thinking. Without it, how can there be more moments of beginning to thinking more in life? Whether it's kusala or akusala, seeing the danger of akusala moment, it shouldn't be there. Because whenever it's there, more and more ignorance and unwholesome moments which cannot understand the truth. That's why seeing the danger of akusala by understanding that even that cannot be controlled, but it has to be understanding the danger even so little. That's why the understanding of all paramis develop, even metta, see. Without understanding, there's the idea of someone, or I try to have metta. But when there is the understanding and seeing the danger of akusala at that very moment, it cannot arise to have aversion at that moment, because seeing the danger of akusala. And if it's not developed in daily life, how much the moment of akusala added and added each moment, each process of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching in a day. That's why the daily life can be known, whether there is some understanding or a little more understanding of that very moment. Keep it away from alop, from akusala at moment of understanding. That's why to have metta without understanding and metta with understanding is quite different. And when there is less and less moments of akusala, there can be condition for kusala, remembered what is said about now, to be known by conditions. And right understanding is so true to the truth. It's not that moment, or it's that moment, very shortly. And that is the beginning to be truthful to the moment with direct awareness, or just talk about what is there now. Not by anyone's control or in anyone's control. So no need to think about anything, because it's there already to be known. Otherwise, it cannot be known in one's life.
No need to have special resolves or special intentions. Any differences now, Vincent, you said there was some difference in understanding at the beginning. Any difference now? Everything okay? I think Maeve's waiting to ask a question. Go ahead, Maeve.
Actually, Ajahn, it's in relation to what you've just been talking about in thinking about if there is no cup, or if there is nothing that we take for self. I suppose that speculation, but I find that in speculating about that, the thought arises of how much courage is required. Now, I don't know if that thought is connected with some understanding of what it can mean when there is the absence of all that we are attached to, or whether it is just maybe fearfulness about loss. So there are many possibilities, but the thing that actually remains is that even though we sit and we talk a great deal about how, in a sense, that is the goal of understanding, to understand the nothingness of all things. The reality of that is actually, yes, requires great courage and fortitude.
Even to think, where to have a little more understanding, is hindrance. Attachment and ignorance is there. That's why Samadhi of the Eightfold Path has to understand what is there. Otherwise, one follows our thinking, our thought about this, an idea about that, but not letting go. It's gone. So what about now? Understanding of what is there appearing? No more, or a little more, when there's some thought about it, by conditions. That it's that which has to be known because it's there. So very shortly. That's why letting go, no matter what, all depends on conditions. No fear. As long as there are conditions for whatever arises, it has to arise when time comes. Only that. Even now, and it's gone, see, a little less clinging to whatever is there. At moment of even understanding of that which is there in daily life, as usual. Otherwise, how can there be any moment of beginning to let go the idea of self, or thinking with wishful thinking, thought about when and where and how? No matter how long, no matter it's not this moment, only understanding itself is now letting go the hindrance, ignorance, and attachment to what is there. That's why the path is so very subtle. That's why it is the Ariya Satya, the fourth of the Ariya Satya Dhamma. So natural, but so deep.
And it actually makes more sense as to why it has to be gradual, because if it was so sudden, it seems like it would be impossible or unbearable, or that by little there's a kind of adjustment maybe to the truth, to the truth of the Dhamma.
And when it's just a little more letting go in a day, it's the moment for great understanding to begin to think about what is there. The opportunity, because understanding anatta. So when we talk about anattaness, if it's not the letting go, how can there be the understanding of the anattaness? But at moment of letting go, it's because of whatever is there by conditions. So the moment of popping up can appear when one reality is known a little more clearer and clear by conditions. That's why the right path is understanding what is the condition for the second truth. So as long as it's still there, no progress of understanding the truth. That's why it's so subtle to let go. What is there is clung in daily life. Can it be clung to when there's more understanding of anattaness? It's there by conditions, no matter aversion or attachment or anything, only there, very, very shortly and then gone, until it's known closer and closer by understanding different characteristics of different reality right now. By conditions again. The Kanti Parami, see, no doubt about it. And it's only way too.
And this is why the understanding of what is now, what is appearing now, is more precious than working out the story of what it would be like when there is Visuddhi, or to be a Sotapanna, or the process of enlightenment, or have the understanding of the groups of the klapas, because actually it's like moving away all the time from understanding what is now. And we think because it's study of Dhamma that it's useful, but if it's not about developing more understanding of the reality now, it's just lost in the world of stories again without any understanding. So that's why it always has to come back to now, the utter sanya, this very moment, the thinking now, with ignorance now.
Actually, I've been doing a lot of listening by conditions as opposed to being at the meetings, but I've found the discussions around that which experiences to be very useful and interesting. But at one point, I found myself actually wondering, what do we actually mean by it experiences? I think I know what experience is, but then when I stopped to really consider that, I'd really like you, Ajahn, if you would, to say what is the nature of that experiencing, which you talk about, the citta that is innermost and is always experiencing. So what is that experiencing? What does that actually mean? How to think about it?
It's there now.
Yes, but
that's why understanding the subtlety of the teachings and have firm confidence of each word. For example, Dhamma si anatta. So what is meant by anatta? See, no understanding of that which experience what is there. The reality which experience that is me or no one. Firm confidence of the truth will lead to the moment of understanding when they're conditioned for what appears to be object of vipassana jnana or beginning to be the object of satipatthana from the very beginning, understanding the difference between moment of sati and satipatthana. Intellect understanding without confidence cannot be satya. The understanding which understand the truth so firm, never change, the subtlety of the way it is right now, only is the way to understand the truth of how much understanding is of what is there appearing. But the realization of the truth of that which arises and falls away and no one there at all is the teaching of the enlightenment. If he hasn't realized the truth of the subtlety of what is there now, can he just teach like that? Impossible. So each word is out of the realization of the truth. That is so very subtle. Everything, Dhamma is so very subtle. After his enlightenment, he said, all Dhammas are so subtle. So now it's so subtle. If we understand the subtlety, it's the letting go, the idea of self. But it's so very little until it's so firm. And that is Satyayana to condition Kiccayana, another level of understanding the difference between moment of intellectual understanding and direct understanding of what is there now. For example, everyone experiences hardness, right? What about the understanding of it? Not yet enough to be aware only of that reality. That it's not that which experiences, it's only that which is experienced. And when it shows up a little bit as only that which is hard, can there be a cup or a thing? Firm and firmer confidence of each moment of understanding with or without awareness. Little by little, gradually, naturally, understanding more about anatta, firm enough not to think about when and where and how at all, because it's gone, it's gone. No regret of those moments which is gone without understanding. It's gone. What about now? Begin again and again. That's why in Satipatthana, begin again, until no doubt about the anatta-ness of moment of direct awareness by conditions. And the understanding of the anatta-ness develop on and on and on gradually, naturally. The more natural it is, just like as it is, the understanding of anatta is developed little by little, naturally. But it has to be Khanti Parami. No matter in what life, like people in the previous Buddhas, at the time of Tipankarana Buddha, those who heard about there would be the Buddha after how long, years and years, and that one had to meet with the Buddhas before his enlightenment, 24 Buddhas. But it's so joyful to know it can be known. This moment can be known. The anatta-ness of that which is no thing at all, only one object at a time. and no one as well. See, that is the Buddha's word, and he taught the way to realize it, but with patience and the development of moments of kusala, seeing the danger of no matter very slight a kusala. If it's there, it hinders, and it's more and more. That's why understanding how patient it is and how to be so truthful to panya. If this truth cannot be realized, Buddha didn't teach about the path because it's so true. And at moment of understanding, it let go wrong understanding very gradually, unknowingly, until time comes. Anatta, it just suddenly pop up. Without condition, can it just pop up? Like now, it's popping up, but no panya understanding anything happening at all. It has to be only panya, which begins to understand the characteristic of what is there, just to develop understanding of no one and no thing. Because just few words is not enough at all to let go the idea of self. So is there doubt about no thing, no one here? But when there are so many people and things, because of ignorance and attachment and wrong understanding, from moment of seeing on to the moment when there is the nimitta. See, so many nimitta, it makes known as someone and something. Not at all at that moment, but only one characteristic. The nimitta of one reality appears. Because now the citta before seeings and after seeings do not appear at all. So how can it be vipassana jnana to experience that? It has to understand the difference between seeing and the other reality, the truth of it. That even seeing, there has to be understanding of that which experience and that which is experienced. Otherwise, why do we consider the truth about seeing right now? It's not the object which is seen.
When we
Maeve, just can we pause just a moment? Tom's just asking.
Sorry.
This afternoon.
Yeah, it's just a small question regarding mana. So usually we know that when there's comparison, either inferior or equal or superior between oneself and another, there's mana. What about the situation when it's about someone one is close to, for example, a mother with daughter? One can feel very proud about her daughter or one's partner, for example.
Does Arupa Brahma have mana?
Yes.
No one.
Yes.
So it can be known the stage of very rough, very strong mana can be known. But when it's there, even right now, can it be known?
It appears.
Only when it appears, but does it appear? Or what appears? What appears is not known, and does mana appear to be known? Seeing now, whisper object now. Just know that it's there, and no need to compare. When one is so proud of oneself, even just very little, like when Sarah give example, I'm better cook. Not you, or you. See, very easy. Yeah. Do we have to say that it's the word mana? Or it's a reality different from other moment?
So it can extend even to another
My daughter's.
Or feeling embarrassed about our friend, Vietnamese friend or something.
If it's someone else who behaves badly, but when it's my friend,
right,
my dear one, someone in my group,
yes, just so common.
so quickly.
Yes. Thank you.
Very, very common.
Just an extension of oneself. Just like looking in the mirror, there can be mana at what is seen there, the appearance, looking good today or not looking horrible. And
my daughter,
same
or
with
my
things that
husband,
belong to one. Yeah, my possessions, same thing. My children, partner.
I have good friends.
Yeah, anything. My cup of tea, anything. Or not as good. If we just have a few moments, but please go ahead, and then we can continue this afternoon.
Actually, Sarah, may I just ask a question about going back to that which experiences. Ajahn, you describe the chitta, that is the chief, as being innermost and having no shape or form. And I'm wondering whether there is there nimitta for that, because you talk about also that there is nimitta for everything, but if there is no shape and form, what would the nimitta be?
With the reality arising and falling away so rapidly, can there be any shape and form of anything?
No, but at the same time, you say that it is always there. So how can it be known? I suppose I'm asking.
Can a single moment of seeing be known?
As a moment of seeing, yes.
Really? It
Well,
sees and falls away, and what is next?
whatever arises.
No
or
understanding.
Or yes, or ignorance, or yes.
So at this moment, they're seeing, right? A nimitta of seeing, of a reality which is seeing, not hearing or thinking, but many moments of seeing arising and fall away. So what appears is only the nimitta of seeing. That's why nimitta of everything which has conditions for its arising and falling away. The five khandhas have nimitta, all five, one by one. Nimitta of hardness now, many moments, sense door and mind door. And what is there in between the sense door and mind door? See? Never be known. So what appears which can be known is only nimitta of one characteristic of a reality. In life, the world of nimitta, and no one there. Only the mitta of that which is conditioned to arise and fall away all the time. No one.
So the nimitta of seeing or hearing or thinking tells us enough about that which experiences. That is all we can say about that which experiences.
Whatever appears by way of nimitta, because of the succession of that which arises and falls away. Like there cannot be just only seeing. There must be citta before seeing, but it does not appear. And cittas after seeing They do not appear. So now it's the nimitta of seeing. Many processes, not only one process. No one, no thing, until it appears to that level of panya, right understanding. Not now, because it's only intellectual understanding about the truth of this moment. But what appears is just full of nimitta and panjati all day. So it's the world of nimitta and panjati, no one at all. Otherwise, there can never be letting go of ignorance and attachment. But it has to be at moment when it appears as no one and no thing, stage by stage. It's there now, depending on right understanding, how much understanding of it that can develop gradually, unknowingly, at moment of understanding.
And I just add a quick word, Maeve. I think excuse me, Ajahn, the nimitta, as I understand it, is something that is incidental to the fact that the movement, the arising and falling away of the reality. And so anything that moves, when it's experienced, it's sort of gone already in a sense. So there is a nimitta effect of the movement. And it's not the case, as I understand it, that the nimitta has to be known as such. It's not part of the essential characteristic, like the impermanence or the unsatisfactoriness. And the person who develops the characteristic of unsatisfactoriness or anattamas, for example, is not developing an understanding of the nimitta. Is not, it's purely related to the impermanence characteristic of conditioned dhammas. Thanks.
No, by the nimitta of the impermanence of the realities. Without nimitta, there wouldn't be any knowing of that impermanence of the realities.
Does that mean that the nimitta is always understood at an intellectual level only? That there is that it cannot be understood otherwise?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I do know that if the impermanence is the characteristic that is the focus of the understanding as enlightenment is approached, then it's the signless aspect of nibbana that is recognized on enlightenment. Whereas if it's another characteristic that is the focus of the understanding, then it's not the signless element of nibbana. It's a different aspect of nibbana that is realized upon enlightenment.
I think we need to continue this discussion this afternoon. So 1:30 this afternoon.